If you've ever felt torn between love and family, hit that subscribe button. This channel is for you. Hey everyone. Let me tell you about a time that completely changed my perspective on relationships, boundaries, and the importance of mutual support. This story still stings, but I've learned so much from it. So sit back, relax, and hear me out. I've been with my fiancée for 4 years. We were living together for the past 2 in a house we bought together, planning for the future. Everything seemed perfect. The wedding was just 3 months away. We had talked about it so many times, agreed on everything, and were ready to take that big step. But then, everything flipped upside down. It all started on a normal day when my fiancée and her mom went to look at wedding dresses. You know, the usual excitement. But that day was different. While they were in the car, her mom started asking her all sorts of questions. How much are you spending on the makeup artist? What about the photographer? The restaurant? You get the picture. She went on, pressing her about the budget, and my fiancé, trying to be honest, gave her all the details. And that's when the problem started. When her mom heard how much we were spending, about $22,000 on the wedding, her reaction was, not good. Now, let me just clarify, we never asked for a single cent from her parents. Not for gifts, not for anything. But after hearing the wedding budget, her mom started talking to her dad, and before I knew it, they were demanding that I meet with them to discuss our finances. I was annoyed. Honestly, I was pissed. But out of respect for them, since they were my future in-laws, I agreed to meet. Big mistake. So, I go to their house after work, and the moment I walk in, I can feel the tension in the air. They started lecturing me, telling me that spending so much on a photographer was a waste, criticizing how many guests we invited, and suggesting that we only invite family. They even implied that we should split the wedding budget evenly, even though I'm covering the mortgage and paying for all the maintenance of the house we live in together. I tried to stay calm. I had to. I wasn't going to let them walk all over me. So, I said, I understand that you're concerned about your daughter's well-being, but this is a budget that we've discussed and agreed upon. We are not asking for any financial support or gifts from anyone. We just want you to attend the wedding and enjoy it. This is our wedding and we're making the decisions. But they didn't back down. They kept pushing, demanding, and even started to attack my family, calling my support for my 86-year-old father irresponsible. And here's where things took a turn. My fiancée, she didn't say a word. She didn't defend me. She just sat there looking down, not saying anything. I felt completely abandoned. I had expected her to back me up. But instead, it felt like I was fighting this battle on my own. When they started talking about finances, I explained that we have different financial roles in our relationship. I pay the mortgage and she covers some bills and groceries. So, it made sense for her to contribute a bit more to the wedding. That's how we agreed to split things. But still, they weren't happy with it. After hours of this, I told them that I was done. I couldn't keep doing this. I said, this is our wedding, our decision. If there's a problem, we'll discuss it as a couple, but I won't let you make decisions for us. And then came the bombshell. My fiancée looked at me with this cold look and said, you do realize that my parents are just trying to help, right? She wasn't on my side. She wasn't fighting for us. She was siding with them. That was it. I couldn't believe it. We had planned this wedding together, and now I was being treated like the outsider. My boundaries were being ignored, and I was being told I was wrong for standing up for them. I was heartbroken. So, I made the toughest decision of my life. I called off the wedding. I ended the relationship. She begged me to reconsider. She cried. But deep down, I knew. I couldn't marry someone who wouldn't have my back. I couldn't marry someone who let their parents control our lives. I wasn't going to live like that. I'd spent so much time building a future with her, but I realized I was alone in this fight. I couldn't build a life with someone who didn't know how to set boundaries, who couldn't stand up to their own parents. I'll be honest, it broke me. I felt like I was the only one fighting for our relationship. But I knew I made the right choice. I couldn't live with someone who allowed in-laws to dictate every part of our lives. Now, I'm sitting here reflecting. She never defended me, and in the end, that's what hurt the most. She didn't want to set boundaries with her parents. And that's when I knew this wasn't going to work. But here's the thing, y'all. I learned something huge from this. No matter how much you love someone, if they can't defend you and your decisions, it's not worth it. Family drama is one thing, but when your partner refuses to take a stand for you, that's a whole different story. And I'll leave you with this. Know your boundaries, know when to walk away, and never settle for someone who isn't willing to fight for you. Life's too short for that. Don't let family drama control your life. Subscribe now and join the conversation on how to set boundaries and build stronger relationships. Story 2. Hey everyone, I'm about to share something that shook me to my core, and I'm not sure I've fully processed it yet, but I'm sharing it because I know I'm not the only one who's been through something like this. This is the story of how my life with a man I thought I could trust fell apart, and how, ultimately, my daughter and I found a way to get through the chaos. Buckle up, because this is a journey of heartbreak, betrayal, and the fight for my little girl's safety. So here's where it all started. I'm 27 now and I'm a widow. My husband, Mike, passed away when I was just 20. He was 24. We were young, in love, and about to start our lives together. But that all changed in an instant when Mike died from complications after cancer surgery. It was devastating. He died literally 2 days after my birthday, and it completely shattered me. My daughter, Sammy, was just 6 months old at the time. She's 7 now, but I'll never forget the way the world felt empty after Mike was gone. The grief hit me hard. I drank heavily when Sammy stayed with either set of grandparents. I never got into anything worse, but I sure thought about it. The anger, the bitterness, it consumed me. I had no idea how to handle it, and frankly, I didn't care. My parents and my sister were the ones who really had to pick up the pieces. They saw what was happening to me, and they finally forced me into therapy and rehab. I didn't have much of a choice. They threatened to fight for custody of Sammy if I didn't get my act together. To be honest, at the time I couldn't blame them. But I'm here today because of them. With a lot of help, I slowly started to pull myself together. I won't say I'm perfect, but I became the mother and the person I needed to be. I found my feet again, found purpose, and started taking better care of Sammy. Then Mike's parents came to the rescue. They gave me their house, a 4-bedroom place, because they were moving to an assisted living facility. It was a huge gift. The house meant a lot to me, especially since it still had Mike's room exactly as he left it before we got married. It was a bittersweet reminder, but it was also a safe space for Sammy and me to rebuild. To help with the bills, my sister moved in. I went back to school while working part-time, and she worked from home, taking care of Sammy while I worked or went to class. Things were looking up. I was on the right track. I was a year away from finishing my degree, and I had a job lined up with the same company where my sister worked. That's when I met Andrew. I was 24 and Andrew was 29, a master's student who was sweet and smart. He offered to tutor me in the classes I was struggling with, math being the big one, of course. But as time went on, we started dating. From day one, I was upfront with him about my past. I was a widow, I was a recovering alcoholic, and my daughter would always come first. He was fine with it. In fact, he was incredibly supportive. He couldn't wait to meet Sammy. After 5 months of dating, I introduced them. And when I tell you he was perfect, I mean it. He was great with Sammy, playing with her, taking her camping, helping her with her homework. He was everything I had hoped for. A model father, I thought. He seemed like the one. Then things started to change. A year and a half ago, Andrew went to visit a friend in Ohio. I didn't think much of it. I trusted him. But when he came back, something was off. He was still loving, still caring, but I couldn't shake this feeling that something had changed. I was still focused on school and work, so I didn't have much time to dig into it. One afternoon, I asked Andrew if he could watch Sammy while I took my sister to a medical procedure. I came back, and what I found, I could never have predicted. I walked into the house and found Andrew sitting on the couch, drinking a beer. Sammy was crying on the floor, and she had a horrible burn on her hand. I froze. My heart dropped into my stomach. I rushed to her, asking what happened. Andrew shrugged and told me, "I told her to make me dinner. It's not my fault you failed to teach your brat to be a proper woman." What? My blood ran cold. My daughter, my precious Sammy, was hurt, and Andrew wasn't even fazed. He wasn't rushing to help her, to take her to the hospital. He just sat there on the couch as if nothing was wrong. I grabbed Sammy without saying another word. My sister, who had been there with me, rushed to comfort Sammy, while I drove us straight to the emergency room. Sammy's burn was severe, a 2nd-degree burn on her hand with some minor 1st-degree burns on her legs. I was numb. After the hospital visit, I was done. I knew I couldn't be with someone who treated my daughter like that. I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed. That night, I went back to the house with my sister. Andrew was still on the couch, drunk. He didn't even stand up when we walked in. All he said was, "Did you come back to your senses already?" I told him to leave. I told him if he didn't, I would call the police. He didn't take me seriously. He thought he was still in control. That's when my sister stepped in. She grabbed a broom and started hitting him just like an old cartoon. We got him out of the house, locked the door behind him, and called the cops. The police arrived, but Andrew was let off with just a slap on the wrist. Nothing happened to him. No jail time. I couldn't believe it. But what really hurt was that this man, someone I had trusted, had tried to manipulate me into believing he was right. He had hurt my daughter and he wasn't even sorry. After that night, everything seemed to spiral. CPS got involved. They investigated, but eventually they dismissed the claims. Andrew kept harassing me online. He started posting about me, calling me an abusive mother, a cheater, and even implying that I was somehow responsible for my husband's death. People who didn't know me were agreeing with him. Strangers on social media. And the harassment didn't stop. CPS kept getting called on me over and over again, all because of the lies Andrew was spreading. They would come to my house, do their checks, and leave. But each time the stress made me feel more and more paranoid. Was I being watched? Could Andrew be coming after us again? I knew I needed to do something. I'm meeting with a lawyer next week to figure out what my options are. Maybe a restraining order. Maybe a cease and desist order. But I know this isn't over. It's been over a year since I broke up with Andrew. I haven't dated since. I can't risk it. Not with Sammy. Sammy's in therapy now and we've been working through everything. Cooking sessions, teaching her about kitchen safety, just getting back to normal. But it's hard. The stress is taking a toll on me and I can tell it's affecting Sammy too. I'm trying to stay strong. For her. For myself. But the fear is still there. Every time I hear something outside at night, I wonder if it's him. I wonder if he's still out there waiting for his chance to hurt us. So, I'm sharing this now because I need your advice. I need to know I'm not alone. If you've been through something like this, please let me know. How did you handle it? How do I keep my daughter safe when the law isn't doing enough? Thanks for listening and please share your thoughts. This has been the hardest year of my life, but I'm not giving up. Not on Sammy, not on myself.